They're the logos that represent the brands of companies. They're worth millions in their own right. But the coronavirus has seen a few less than subtle changes taking place to some big global brand logos embracing social distancing. In normal times, there would be strict logo guidelines, but these are not normal times.
I think it's an interesting thing to have done, and in some ways I think they might have made a very generous gift to society. And what I mean by that is they are continuing to prompt and remind people what to do with their most precious asset. So if we're looking to social distance as a species, the chances are quite soon that abnormal behaviour will get broken down and people will get back into their normal habits of how they do things. And I think using something like a logo in this particular instance is a way of nudging and prompting people to say, actually, have you seen what McDonald's have done? Have you seen what Audi have done? And it sparks a conversation and it puts it back top of mind, because this abnormal behaviour will soon become what people are used to, and they'll get casual, and this whole thing is too important to be casual with.
It may seem odd for McDonald's to advertise when in the UK all their restaurants are closed. So is this also a bit of PR value?
Well, we live in such a social world that by very virtue of the fact that it has made news, prompts the conversation and puts it back on top of people's minds again. So even though the branches are shut, the brand is still active in its communicative value. And I think therein is the role that it's playing. It is poking and nudging people because it's got into the news.
Clearly, making a change only works for some logos.
You've got to have something in the first place that you can manage to successfully and meaningfully divide, because that's the very nature of social distancing. So when I look at things like Audi, splitting the rings, I think is a clear message of creating distances. Things that were previously interlocked have now been separated. So I think has been a graphic indication of a very important reminder for people to social distance.
Some designers have come up with their own unofficial logo changes, and some brands who haven't been able to change their logo have embraced social distancing in their ads. But when it comes to tampering with those precious logos, just because you can make a change doesn't mean you should. McDonald's in Brazil faced a social media backlash, claiming the company was being opportunistic.
I wouldn't advocate it under normal circumstances, but these are just not normal circumstances. The thing that is something of a lookout is that brands can become opportunistic. If that is the case, the likelihood is they will gather a very cynical, toxic reputation quickly from people. So anyone who's looking to jump on a bandwagon, I hope and assume will be shot down pretty quickly. So I think it's a question of being true. It's a question of being authentic and generous. But anyone who's looking to make a quick buck out of it, to steal a march, I think will be found out pretty quickly and socially criticised.